Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in to another NFL divisional breakdown episode of the Don't Tell Mama Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kobold, here with Max Faulkner, and welcoming in for his debut is my guy, Dan from Philly, a die-hard Eagles fan. What's going on, Dan?
What's going on, guys? Excited to be here. Really big fan of the pod and listening to all the fantasy stuff. So I'm jacked up for the season. Really appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Hell yeah, man. Excited to have you on.
Glad to have you.
Got a little East Coast representative here. Could have a role for you here in the future. But you were telling us about your fantasy league and how there's a bunch of money involved in the pod here. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, a bunch of my friends since high school, and that's kind of the way it goes around Philly. You stick with your high school guys for about your entire life. We put together this league. We've been going at it now for 11 years.
Nice.
We've had some shitty commissioners in the past. We've had some change of hands, but the one thing that's never changed is the money keeps going up. We're up to about a $5,000 pot now. Lost fees.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Things are getting very serious now. So we're all very competitive, and nobody accepts my trades ever. But I don't hold that against the guys. We have fun. That's what it's about.
Now, how do we get up to 5,000? How do we get up to that?
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to the high school days, it's probably like a $50 buy-in. But once you get into college, you got a little bit of your parents' money hidden away, and you start inching it up a bit. But then once we got real jobs, we said, boys, let's make this a serious league. There's 12 of us. We all have real money. Let's play for fun. So we're all degenerate gamblers, and as much as is in our FanDuel account, we're putting into the pot as well.
Shout out FanDuel. Second shout out for FanDuel today.
Oh boy.
But if you guys couldn't guess at home, we are breaking down the NFC East today because our guy here is from Philly, like we said. Max, Dan, last season in the NFC East, the Eagles ran away with this thing at 14-3. Cowboys two games behind at 12-5. Giants ended up getting that wild card at 9-7-1, beating the Vikings in the first round. And the Commanders were actually 8-1. This was the first division since 2008 where all four teams were 500 or better. Max, give me your opinion on that.
Shocker, kind of a shocker when it comes to this division. I think we were all surprised last year with the Giants and the Commanders. Okay, definitely. Dallas is always going to be up there. Eagles are good. All right, Eagles are damn good. Okay, we can all agree on that. This season, I think it's going to be a little change of pace as far as those last two on the bottom. I know we were bragging about the Giants a little bit, saying that they're gonna have a leap, but then once we really broke it down, and after breaking it down right here, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Yeah.
Dan, what's your quick opinion on the NFC East being the first division since 2008, where all four teams were 500 or better?
Honestly, I was shocked last season. The Commanders had no business being up there with that, just a horrible roster that they had. I mean, the Giants roster wasn't any better, but they actually had some coaching, which was the change there. But not surprising that a different team, this has been 10 years running now where a different team wins the NFC East. That's just how it goes there.
Yeah.
It's just like, who's going to win it this year? Probably the Birds, but it's different every year.
The bird.
Max, lead us off here with your quarterback rankings in the NFC East.
All right. So, I don't think it's a huge jump. I don't think it's a huge surprise on these things. I mean, especially at number one, it's Jalen Hurts. Okay, this guy was second in MVP last season. He's going to make another big leap. This guy wants a Super Bowl. Okay, they lucked out last year. Okay, sorry, Dan, but you lost to Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's very tough. It's a tough game, but it was a great Super Bowl. At number two, a lot of people might disagree, but I got Dak Prescott. Okay, I think that offense is very, very good. Okay, I got Dak Prescott. You shaking your head. Okay, at number three, I got your Danny Dimes. I know that you want him. Okay, go ahead and get him. Okay, you got Danny Dimes and Jonathan Taylor, and you're gonna have one hell of a queef team this year. All right. Danny Dimes threw 15 touchdown passes last year, and you want him in your starting lineup? Shit. Get out of here.
708 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground.
15 passing touchdowns. 15.
Finish up your rankings.
And at number 4 for the Washington football queefs, I got Sam Howell. Who in the Who's this guy?
5th round pick in 2022 out of North Carolina. He's got the keys to the car.
Another Mitch Queefbisky situation, other than the Bears making the worst decision ever. I don't think a 5th round pick is as bad as trading up one spot and giving up multiple draft picks for a queef. But we're not talking about the Bears, are we? Let's move on.
Nope. Dan, what do you think about your quarterbacks here in this division?
Yeah, I got Jalen Hurts number 1, obviously. I mean, absolute stud. We love him here. He's basically my second father. Now, yeah. I won't go on about him. I could go on about him for hours, but actually, my number 2, I have Danny Dimes.
Let's go.
I'm like Max there. And it's Danny Dimes too because of what Dak is at 3 for me. I mean, I hate the Cowboys. I was raised in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All we do is hate the Cowboys. It's basically, it's a national holiday when the Birds play the Cowboys or Cowgirls. But Dak Prescott, this guy, he's an interception machine. He's terrible. We all know it. Nobody wants to point out the fact that they didn't really spend a lot of draft capital on him. He just kind of slipped into the position, and he really hasn't been that great. He's had a couple good seasons here and there. He's shown signs, but he's nothing special. And then, I have 4 Sam Howell, whoever that is.
Not much debate at the position here, boys. I got Jalen Hurts, Danny Dimes, number 2, 708 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns last year. You're not going to find a lot of quarterbacks that can do that. That's going to get him in the top 10 if he does that again. Dak Prescott. I had him last year. He queefed on me. Max, you had him the year before. He queefed on you. Yeah, he's 3rd in this division, but yet you still have him 2nd.
He's going to throw 4,000 to 5,000 yards. He always does it. It's between 4,000 and 5,000 yards every year. Danny Dimes does not do that. He trips over his own feet.
Yeah.
On a 70 plus 80 yard, nobody around you touchdown run that you would have done in practice.
The turf monster got him. What
a queef.
And like you boys, I got Sam Howell last. He's got a lot to prove, and on the worst team in the division, he's got his work cut out for him. Max, give us your rankings of the running back rooms in the NFC East, please.
Sure. All right, so leading off at number 1, I think the Giants have the best running game with Saquon Barkley. I mean, come on. Saquon Barkley's the man. He's really good. Coming out of Penn State, Dan, I'm sure you got to have a little bit of love.
The Pussycats.
We love Saquon.
Yeah, you gotta. At number 2, I got the Cowboys with Tony Pollard. Okay. Had a big time year last year filling in for Zeke. Looks great. At number 3, I got the Eagles. I think DeAndre Swift could be a sleeper pick. Could be a sleeper pick in this year's draft, just a fantasy draft, that is. So look out. And then at number 4, it's the Washington football queefs, but they do have a solid 2-headed monster, I guess. Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson, but I have no faith in the queefs this year.
The Washington football queefs. Dan, where do you agree? Where do you differ with that list?
Well, I'm a bit biased here, in case you can't tell. But I do have my Birds as number 1, and mainly because of our depth. We got DeAndre Swift, we got Rashad Penny, we got Kenny G, and besides that, when every single game we play the Giants, we got Boston Scott to put in, who's going to score 2 or 3 touchdowns on them every single game.
Somehow.
Now, Max, I do have the Giants at number 2 for me. Underrated Matt Breida, who can come in very fast. I like to watch him run. So, yeah, they have a pretty decent room there. Not impressed with the Cowgirls again. Deuce Vaughn, come on. Are we for real? This guy's like 5'6".
He's a little guy. He's
so small.
He's a little guy.
Tony Pollard can't run the ball every single play. You're going to have to put somebody in.
Yeah.
And I know they have some other queef listed as their number 2 on the list for their depth chart, but Deuce Vaughn's going to be getting the carries. We're all just going to be
buzz.
Giggling away. Yeah, it'll be great. And then number 4, running behind the 30th ranked offensive line. That would be the Washington Commanders. Yeah. Good luck this year to those guys.
Yeah, we got 3 different lists here, fellas. But I am going Giants number 1, Saquon Barkley. He's a
Saquon.
top five lock. He gets it done rushing and receiving. I got Cowboys number 2. Ronald Jones, 2-game suspension is also there. Juicing, right? PEDs.
Yeah.
And then third in the NFC East, I actually have the Washington football queefs, the Salamanders, because Brian Robinson's going to get a lot of usage. Antonio Gibson's going to be used more as a receiver. They could both be top 30. That's solid. Dan, we couldn't be more further off on this one. I got the Eagles last. You named all 4 guys: DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, and then you got Jalen Hurts too. I don't see myself drafting any of these guys. DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny miss time every year. I'm going to get into the more later on the Eagles running backs.
Oh,
Correct.
Yeah. Danny Boy, lead us in with your wide receiver rankings, please.
No surprise here, guys. Number 1, I have the Birds. I'm assuming that some of you might agree with me here. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez. I mean, come on. We're absolutely stacked. To the best tandem, I think, maybe wide receivers in the NFL. Number 2, I do have those loser Cowboys, just because I really would have liked if the Birds had drafted CeeDee Lamb.
He's a beast.
But they snagged him right in front of us. It was a heartbreaker. But they got Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup leading up as well. Decent squad there. Number 3, I have the Commanders with Scary Terry. Big fan of him, actually. I've had him on my team the past, 4 years. So I really player. Do. Yeah, he's consistent. He's not anything special. He's not going to win you the league, but you have fun with him. Yeah. Number 4, can anybody that is not a actually advanced fantasy football coach name a New York Giants wide receiver? It's actually insane. Like, if you were walking the streets of New York and you were like,
yeah,
who's your number 1 receiver? I don't think anybody would be able to answer that question.
No.
So Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell. Yeah, no thanks. Not going anywhere near those guys.
Max, can you agree with that list?
Yeah, that's exactly what I have. To add to that, really funny, the Giants walking in New York. If you were walking in New York, they might as well have a COVID mask on, because you would not recognize their faces. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks. You'd see those guys. You're like, oh shit, that's AJ Brown. Oh shit, that's CeeDee Lamb. Isaiah Hodges, Darius Slayton. I'm not gonna know who those queefs are. I'm not gonna recognize them by face. No way. Giants are the queefs as far as wide receivers go. Maybe in the entire league. Maybe.
We all have the same list, 1 to 4 here: Eagles, Cowboys, Salamanders, and Giants. One guy we didn't talk about, Jahan Dotson. I like Jahan Dotson, and
same.
We'll get into him a little bit more later. Max, give us your tight end rankings here in the NFC East. I had to think about what division this is.
So as far as tight ends go, there are 2 top tight ends that you should definitely be looking at for your fantasy football drafts. Okay. At number 1, I really, really like Dallas Goedert of the Eagles. I like him a lot. If there's a guy that I want to go get as my tight end, it might be Dallas Goedert this year. Awesome. At number 2, I know you're queefing about him, Cole Breezy, because you love the Giants this year.
We just got done talking about their receivers, right? Who's going to be the big dog there?
You're right. If he stays healthy and he doesn't stub his toe or something like that, because he cut his nails too short or something. I don't know. Whatever he needs, whatever excuse he needs not to play. Sure. Darren Waller of the Giants. Previous seasons he's been great. Hopefully he can come in here. Yeah, you're right. I think he might be the number 1 tight end. At number 3, Cowboys Ferguson. I'm not going to say much about him. And then number 4, the Queefs. How is Logan Thomas still their number 1 tight end?
How he's still in the league, yeah.
He's hurt every single season. So don't be drafting him. Don't be looking at him, okay? Because he's not going to be there very long.
No. Dan, do you have the same order there?
Surprisingly, not. I have to put my bias aside. I love Darren Waller this year.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hell yeah.
Danny's got to throw the ball to somebody. And when I look at this wide receiver list, I mean, there's just Isaiah Hodgins will get, in the middle slot type catches, but Darren Waller is going to be their big target on the outside. And I like him a lot. mainly because of the receptions he's going to get and the looks he's going to get this season. I have Dallas Goedert too. I love Dallas Goedert. You know, he's a Philly legend. We love him. I just can't imagine picking Dallas Goedert over Darren Waller this year. But you never know. We'll see what happens when my bias comes up in the draft. And then I got Logan Thomas number 3 because I love that name. It's a tight end name. Can you believe Logan Thomas is still playing football?
I can't.
It's awesome to see. I love it. And I don't know who Jake Ferguson is.
Yeah.
When did he? Yeah, what?
Yeah.
He was one of those 3 tight ends that jumped into the thing and did the little dance with the cow. Yeah, no, not interested. Not doing it this year.
We got all different lists here. I go Darren Waller, number 1, followed by Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert's probably the 3rd option for the Eagles, whereas Darren Waller is probably the number 1 option. So that's a big difference for me. Jake Ferguson
when he's playing.
Jake Ferguson, number 3, Logan Thomas of the Washington Football Queefs last. Don't draft either Ferguson or Thomas, but Dan, you like Waller as much as I do. Where do you have him overall in your tight end rankings?
I have him at number 4.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
With you. Number 4. And Max, you're what?
7.
Yeah.
Top 10. Got him in top 10.
Yeah. Max, give us your biggest queef, your biggest bust in the NFC East.
All right. Well, don't make me get loud again because I already screamed out his name.
Don't yell.
Okay. Danny freaking Dimes is the queef in this. Okay. Don't be drafted. If you're seriously excited about Danny freaking Dimes, then your fantasy football season is going to be a shit show. Okay. We just described how the Giants you know what? You might as well just throw the Giants wide receivers in there as well as the biggest queefs. Okay. You got
Darren Waller, according to you, the whole Giants team.
I didn't say Darren Waller's a queef. I said he gets hurt. He's not a queef.
All right.
Okay. Danny Dimes is a queef. I'm not excited about him. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Quarterback 9 last year, 708 rushing yards,
15 touchdowns, 15 passing touchdowns. Geez.
If you get 700 rushing yards again, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. Dan, what do you think about Danny Jones being a queef? And then give us your queef.
You know, I like Danny this year. The Giants have a pretty easy schedule. I have them going 8 and 9. And he's got more this year than he did last year. So I can only see improvement. The offensive line improved a little bit as well. So you like to see that. It's got a little bit more protection. I just don't know who he's going to throw the ball to besides Darren Waller. And, you know, he loves to sit in the pocket and pretend to be a pocket passer, but we all know he's not that guy. He likes to run. He wants to scramble. So these wide receivers are just going to have a terrible season. So they would be my queefs, but I actually have the Washington running back tandem, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. I'm avoiding these guys at all costs in all my drafts. Yeah. I am not liking them running behind the offensive line that is the Washington Salamanders, queefs, whatever you want to call them. I'm not going near it. Yeah, not going anywhere near those guys. I mean, Brian Robinson could get shot again this season, you know, and we would I'm still avoiding him. He came out hot after that, not doing it this year.
He did. Yeah, Washington, the football team there has so many nicknames. They were calling themselves the football team for 2 or 3 years, and then they took all that time to land on the Commanders. So you guys don't get a real nickname. We're going to be calling you something different every time we talk about you.
And to top this off real quick, okay, I don't know if you heard about this, but there is a Native American tribe, hundreds of people, if not thousands, that are pushing so hard to bring back the Redskins. They're like, wow, you are disrespecting us. We want the Redskins back. Bring back the tradition. Who knows? They might be the Redskins next year. Who knows?
Well, I'd vote for it. My biggest queef in the NFC East, Dan, you ain't going to like this, but it's the Philadelphia Eagles running back room.
Oh,
I've already talked about it. It looks like a 4-headed timeshare, 5 if you count Jalen Hurts. DeAndre Swift has missed 10 games the last 3 years. I drafted him last year. Got a sour taste in my mouth about that. 10 games missed in the last 3 years. Rashad Penny is there. He's got a lot of juice. He's missed 40 games in 5 years, fellas. 40 games in 5 years. You got Kenny Gainwell getting touches. Like you said, Boston Scott randomly plays.
Yeah.
They have the best goal line rushing QB in the league, Jalen Hurts. He had 13 rushing touchdowns last year. He's only going to add to that. It's a running back room I'm looking to avoid. You know, if one of these guys stays healthy and they can take down the lead role, then yeah, there's going to be, running back 2 potential. But I'm staying away from the Eagles running back room, boys.
Yeah, that's cool.
Dan, what's your response to that quickly?
Well, I have Kenny Gainwell as a sleeper just because of where he is in the draft.
Lead us into that sleeper then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, say Rashad Penny gets hurt, say DeAndre Swift gets hurt. I don't want either of those things to happen. But say it does. Kenny is going to step right up. He's a good pass catching back, comes out of the backfield fast. I mean, we used him so much in the Super Bowl. All things are pointing Kenny for me to be a late round, really high value pick this year.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we can all bet that DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny are both probably going to miss time. And if Kenny Gainwell's there and he can get a lot of volume, yeah, that's a lot of potential.
Let's hope not, though.
Max, who's your sleeper here in this division?
Ooh, sleeper here. Maybe going a little too old. But I think this is a guy that he needed another chance. I got Brandon Cooks of the Cowboys.
Oh, boy.
Brandon Cooks has produced every single season except for last season. But come on, he was on the Texans with who's the quarterback
for who?
For the Texans. He was on the Texans last year. Shit. We don't even remember, right?
It's not Davis Mills, is it? Peanut butter and jelly?
It was Davis Mills. Yeah, it was
Peanut butter and jelly, Davis Mills.
So, yeah, definitely had a lot of that on his fingers when he was throwing the ball to Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has a better situation here. It's only an upgrade. I think that he could be a late round sleeper. Okay. You might get him in the I would like to know what round that he's projected in right now, or ADP, but I'm thinking 13th round. You could snag him up and maybe be your wide receiver 4 that can slide into an easy.
You're gonna have pick. On ESPN. You're gonna have to spend middle of the 10th round on Brandon Cooks.
Oh, so he's okay. Okay, so what? Okay, sorry, everybody, that was misleading. Okay, around the 10th round, I think he's gonna have a good year, a better year. Brandon Cooks, maybe.
Somebody that you can get after Brandon Cooks, my sleeper in the division, going 2 spots in the wide receiver position after him, is, I teased it earlier, the Salamanders wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, boys. I'm big on this guy. 23 years old. He was the number 16 overall pick in the 22 draft. Let's not forget that. Big draft capital here. As a rookie, last year in 12 games, he caught 35 balls for 523 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's currently being drafted in the 10th round, wide receiver 38. He's got big touchdown upside. We see receivers a lot of time boom in their second year in the league. And I actually only have Terry McLaurin, your guy, Dan, only 5 spots higher than Jahan Dotson in my wide receiver rankings, especially after that turf toe injury or whatever McLaurin had in the preseason game. I've got him 5 spots apart. Jahan Dotson could be the big dog when it comes to the end of the season here in Washington. This guy could boom. Number 16 overall pick in the draft 2 years ago. That's a lot of capital, boys.
Nice. That's a good one.
Dan, finish us up here today with your final standings prediction in the AFC East. Nope, the NFC East. Too many divisions.
All right. I got the Birds finishing 13-4, leading the division. And then I have a whole bunch of garbage underneath that. I got the Cowgirls going 9-8. I looked at them, their game by game. I feel like they could really fall off this year. And even if Dak is healthy, I mean, now they got Trey Lance in the building. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dak. It's going to be tough on you. I got the Giants going 8-9 strictly because of their roster. They just don't have the talent. They're going to struggle. They it was kind of a fluke season last year. I do like Danny Dimes. He's going to win them some games. But 8 is probably my max there. And then I know everyone hates the Arizona Cardinals this year. I have the Commanders finishing very last in the NFL at 3-14. 3-14. You got Sam Howell, basically a rookie quarterback. You got a terrible offensive line. Is Bryce Young or whatever, is Chase Young going to play this year? Who knows? The defense is questionable. If you look at their defensive depth chart, you can barely even name 2 guys on it. So I'm seeing struggle across the board for the Salamanders.
Pretty good there, Dan. Now the Cowboys at 9-8, they're in the division. Are they going to get a wild card?
Nope.
Fuck them. Fuck them Cowgirls. Max, what's your final standings prediction here?
I won't take too much time. That's exactly what I have. I think the Eagles do it again. I have the Cowboys right after that. Freaking Giants and those queefs are going to be in the bottom. Yeah, like I agree, Dan. This team sucks. I don't really want to draft anyone. Jahan Dotson, that was a good name call, Cole Breezy, because that might be the only guy. Terry McLaurin scares me with that turf toe. I believe he's had this before.
You might be right.
Yes. Okay.
It's about 3 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah. But it's back. It's going to be a lingering issue all season. It doesn't just go away.
Cowboys getting a wild card for you, Max.
I think so. I do think the Cowboys will slip in there. Even at a 9-8 record, like you said, Dan, I think they can slip in.
Yeah, boys.
The NFC.
NFC is definitely weaker. All three of us have the same order here: Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and Washington football queefs. The over-under on Washington's win totals at 6.5. You might want to go put some money on the under there, fellas. You might want to go put some money on the under. I also have the Cowboys making the playoffs as a wild card. This is a solid division. You know, Giants are going to be pushing. Washington's going to be in the basement. Dan, lastly, before we get out of here, brother, give us your Philadelphia Eagle that you're most likely to draft in fantasy leagues this season. Now, not your top-ranked Eagle, but wherever in the drafts will you find this guy most likely on your team?
Oh, I got to take A.J. Brown, and I am taking him right around 8 or 9.
Overall.
Ooh.
You know, as a Tennessee Titans fan, obviously, it pains me. It pains me to watch A.J. Brown destroy everybody in Philadelphia, and so you're very lucky to have him. You said 8th or 9th overall, right there on that 1-2 turn, huh?
Absolutely. He's impossible to guard. He's got Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. They got history. I mean, there's so much to love about him.
He's a freaking beast.
Yeah.
Dan, appreciate you coming on here today, brother. Did great. Had a great time with you. We're gonna definitely have you back on. Possible East Coast representative of the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast. Anything you got for the people before you leave?
No, appreciate it. Shout out you guys. Love the fantasy picks this year, and I'm following you. So lead me to victory, please.
Hell yeah, man. Max, what you got for the people?
Hey, thank you for coming out for the Don't Tell Mama Sports podcast. We still have more divisions to break down. This is only number 3 out of 8. We got 5 more to go. So tune in for that. But please like, comment, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Instagram, and now Twitter. So don't you forget. And hey, as far as this division goes, you already know who's going to win it. Fly, Eagles, fly.